Yeah, if you put the Google Form icon, you click that Google Form icon, a Google Form will open. Please fill in your details if you're interested in attending that workshop. And we will be sending across the Zoom link to you by 30th of August. Okay. So with this, I hand over the session to Ms. Samindra Sawant. Madam, the stage is all yours. So please take over.
Thank you, Dr. Archana, for that wonderful introduction into the topic, and a good morning to all you dear students who are present here today. Personality development is something we often talk about, or rather, personality is something we often talk about. Before we start with the session and understand what personality really means or personality development really means, I want to ask all of you a question. I want you all to think for a minute and put your answers in the chat box. Which is the personality so far that has impressed you the most? Which is the personality that you really admire or look up to? Just think for a minute and put your answers in the chat box. ऐसा कौन सा व्यक्तिमत्व है, ऐसी कौन सी व्यक्ति है जिसे आप बहुत एडमायर करते हैं, आप जिनसे बहुत ज़्यादा इम्प्रेस्ड हो. इट कुड बी somebody who's famous, it could be a actor, it could be a sports person, it could be a politician, or it could be somebody in your family. पर ऐसी कौन सी व्यक्ति है, ऐसी कौन सी पर्सनालिटी है जिससे आप बहुत प्रभावित हुए हो? So I already see lots of answers there.
Yes, and you see beautiful answers coming there.
Beautiful, yeah. Ratan Tata, parents, Mahendra Singh Dhoni, Virat Kohli, mom and dad, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, Ronaldo, PV Sindhu, Messi, teachers, Rohit Sharma, Jeff Bezos, Harry Styles. Okay. Thank you for that quick response. And you see, you didn't even have to think. I had said I'm giving you 1 minute, but आप में से मैक्सिमम लोगों ने ऑलरेडी जवाब देना शुरू किया, क्योंकि कुछ लोग ऐसे होते हैं, कुछ व्यक्ति ऐसी होती है जो हमारे ऊपर बहुत गहरा प्रभाव करती है. Some personalities make a very strong impression on us. They impress us. We look up to them. We admire certain qualities in them. Now take another minute and think about what quality of this person do you admire the most. Why do you think this person is admirable, or why you like this personality? So for example, somebody who said Ratan Tata, what quality about him do you admire the most? Or if you've said Rohit Sharma, what about Rohit Sharma is impressive? जो भी व्यक्ति के बारे में आपने लिखा है, उसकी ऐसी कौन सी क्वालिटी है, ऐसा कौन सा गुण है जो आप एडमायर करते हैं? Just put those answers also in the chat box. Okay.
Again,
Presence
beautiful
of
answers.
mind, hard work,
Beautiful answers.
sincerity, positivity, dedication, calmness, hardworking, behavior, character, humble, down to earth, hard work, personality, struggle, positivity, calmness. It is very interesting. आप में से किसी ने नहीं बोला है कि I admire such and such a person because he is very handsome,
Yes.
or she is very beautiful, she has a
Yes.
lovely complexion, he has a good height. How come? Because when we use the term personality in everyday words, we usually talk about external personality. We talk about looks. Oh, he's got such a good personality. When we use that word like that, we are usually talking about physical characteristics. How a person looks, how a person carries himself or herself, how a person talks. But you see, when we think about people who have left an impression on us, people who have made a mark on us, it is not the physical qualities. It is deeper qualities that we admire. And my dear friends, that's what personality is all about. Just give me a minute to share my screen and we will understand what we really mean by personality. Does external features also, are they part of personality or are they not part of personality? So just give me a second.
If more and more students, Madam has made this into an interactive workshop. So if more and more students, write their answers, even they'll feel better and they'll understand more from the workshop.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so personality development. Now I've put some famous personalities here. Okay, again, let's take a minute each. When we think of, all of us knows who this is. On Independence Day today, we can't not remember the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi. What is the one quality that we associate with him? When we think of Mahatma Gandhi, what do we think of? Simplicity, non-violence, ahimsa, patriotism, freedom. So, non-violence, simplicity and calmness is what we associate with him. Absolutely right. What about Virat Kohli? What qualities do we associate with Virat Kohli? Yes, leadership, dedication, hard work, talent, absolutely, attitude. Talent, attitude, and leadership qualities, self confidence. Very well said. What about this person? Who can tell me who this is? This is one of the youth icons. Yes, Ariana Grande. What qualities do we associate with her? Singing, music, down to earth, calm, passion, talent. Yes, so mainly her ability to sing, her musical ability, her talent, passion, confident, cute, beautiful. Yes, lovely. What about Shah Rukh Khan? Acting, handsome, versatile, very true. Lifestyle, kind, smart, king of romance, courageous, absolutely. And the last one that we see on the screen, Mother Teresa. What do we associate her with? Charitable, self-made. Self-made is, I think, for Shah Rukh Khan. So compassion, peace, kindness, humility, charity are the qualities that we associate with Mother Teresa. So these are some of the personalities that are famous and that we have learned to associate with certain qualities, which brings us to the core issue, what is personality, right? So physical appearance, of course physical appearance is part of personality. It is the outermost layer of our personality. Why physical appearance? Of course all of us know and all of us understand that how we look is only a very small part of who we are, but that's the first impression that we make on people. That's the first thing people notice about us, is how we look. And when I say how we look, I'm not talking about how handsome you are or how beautiful you are, but more about your posture, your body language, how you carry yourself, how you speak, how dressed you are. So, your physical appearance, yes, it is definitely one part of your personality. It's the outermost layer of your personality. Then comes mannerisms, how you behave, how you talk when you're talking to other people, what's your body language like. Then come your feelings and emotions, your thoughts,
Madam,
your action.
Madam, your screen is not shared, huh?
Oh, really?
Yes, yes. Please, can you just start the screen sharing once again? You can stop and start the screen sharing once again.
All right.
It was there before, it just stopped a few seconds back.
1 second, 1 second. Is it visible
Yes.
now?
Yes, yes, it is visible.
So all these make up our personality, how we look, how our manners are, our feelings and emotions, our thoughts, our actions, and of course, our strengths and weaknesses. As Dr. Archana said right in the beginning, we all have certain good qualities, we all have certain not so good qualities, and we all are learning from each other. So, all this mix that we are of our good qualities, bad qualities, our unique personality traits, our unique behaviors, thought patterns, feelings, emotions, all of this together makes up our personality. So it's a very very complex, unique situation that comes together to make up our personality. All of you are aware, right, that our thumbprints, our fingerprints are unique. Our thumbprint, then there is nobody else other than us who carries our unique thumbprint. It's the same with personality. We all have unique personalities. There is nobody else like us in the entire universe, right? Of course, there are many people who are kind, there are many people who are courteous, there are many people who are arrogant, but the mix of features that we bring together inside ourselves, the percentage with which we carry all these features, it's a very, very unique mix that has been put together to make up who we are, right? So like I just told you all, personality basically refers to all these qualities, all these characteristics and traits that make us unique. It is our personality that sets us apart from the rest of the world and that helps us to identify who we are and what is our purpose in life. So we just spoke about people we admire, personalities we admire. It's very important to have such people in our lives who are our role models, whom we look up to, whom we admire. But one thing to remember is our personality is our own. There are qualities we can learn from all these people. There are qualities we can try to inculcate and imbibe within us. But we also need to understand that we are unique and we need to grow and develop our own personality as well. Take up the best from various sources and become our own unique personality that other people will look up to, that other people will follow. Right? So it's very important that we get to know ourselves well, our personality well, so that we can understand ourselves completely and we can always act and behave in ways that are consistent, that are harmonious with our personality. Right? So I'm just going to repeat a little bit in Hindi for those of you who are more comfortable in Hindi. हम जब व्यक्तित्व की बात करते हैं तो उसमें काफ़ी चीज़ें आती है. हम कैसे दिखते हैं, हमारा अपीयरेंस कैसा है, हमारी भावनाएं, हमारे विचार, हम एक दूसरे के साथ किस तरह से बर्ताव करते हैं, हमारी सोच क्या है, हमारी वैल्यूज़ क्या है, हम किन चीज़ों को महत्व देते हैं, ये सब जब एकत्रित आता है तो हमारी यूनिक अनोखी पर्सनालिटी या हमारा अनोखा व्यक्तिमत्व निर्माण होता है. हमारे इर्द गिर्द बहुत लोग रहते हैं जिनको हम एडमायर करते हैं, रिस्पेक्ट करते हैं. उनकी जो भी खूबियाँ हैं, उनके जो अच्छे गुण हैं, उन सारी गुणों को आत्मसात करने की हमें ज़रूर कोशिश करनी चाहिए. लेकिन उसके साथ साथ हमारे अंदर जो अनोखे गुण हैं, हमारी जो कुछ यूनिक स्ट्रेंथ्स है, हमारी जो अच्छे गुण हैं, उनको विकसित करना हमारे लिए बहुत ज़रूरी है. और ये करने के लिए पहला पड़ाव या पहला स्टेप है कि हम अपने आप को जानें. तो हम आज के सेशन में अपने आप को जानने की थोड़ी बहुत कोशिश करेंगे. वी विल बी लर्निंग टू गेट टू नो आवरसेल्व्स अ लिटिल बिट. Knowing ourselves is a lifelong process. Nobody can claim that they know himself or herself very well and completely, because every day we are getting new experiences. Every day we are learning more and more things about the world, about ourselves. So it's a lifelong experience to know ourselves. We will try and make an attempt to learn a little bit about ourselves. I see there are some hands raised. Just give me 2 minutes. I'm going to come to you and ask you why your hands are raised. So this is what I was talking about. This is what our personality looks like. We all have seen an onion. Correct? हमने सभी ने प्याज देखा है, कांदा देखा है. तो our personality is just like an onion. It has many layers. We think we know ourselves, but when we peel that layer, there are other layers that are there inside. Okay? So जो सबसे बाहरी layer है, the outermost layer is our appearance, how we look, our physical features. Am I tall? Am I short? Am I thin? Am I plump? Do I have brown hair? Do I have black hair? So my physical appearance is part of my external personality, actions and body language. Okay, that's the topmost layer. Beneath that layer is our feelings and emotions. हमारी भावनाएं, हम जिस प्रकार से emotions experience करते हैं, that is the next layer. Once we start understanding our feelings and emotions, we come to our motives and needs. What do we mean by motives and needs? Motives and needs are basically हमारे लिए क्या important है? What is it that is important for me? Is keeping other people happy important for me? Is becoming very famous important for me? Is being happy important for me? Is being rich important for me? What are my values? What is important for me? And there is nothing wrong if we want to be rich, we want to be famous, we want to be happy. We all want these things in life, okay? But it's important to know what is important for me and what is it that I need the most. And सबसे अंदर का जो core है, the deepest part of our personality is our core personality, which is who we are. What is our deepest value? What is our deepest human need. That is our core personality. So we try and peel these layers a little bit today, just a little bit. हम आज जो करेंगे वो सिर्फ थोड़ी सी खुद की साथ जान पहचान होगी. We'll just get to know ourselves a little bit better, and I will urge you all to continue this process as you go forward in life. Okay, so before we go forward, I'm going to stop share, and I see some hands raised. Haridas, was your hand raised? I can't see it now. If you just put in chat box, I saw 2 hands raised. If you just
Yes,
put
madam,
it
I
in the chat
put them
box.
up. I put them a direct message saying that you put it in the chat box and we'll take it up. So they have not yet put it in the chat box. And the hands are not raised anymore. So
Yeah, okay.
continue. If
So
it
if
comes
there's
up, I'll
any
inform.
query, if there is any query, question, just raise your hand or put it in the chat box so that I can stop there and take up your query. The only reason why we are not giving you the option of unmuting yourself is otherwise बहुत chaos हो जाएगा. There'll be too much chaos. That's why, that's the only reason. But we want this to be an interactive session. So please put in your queries in the chat box. Yes, I see a query. What is meant by core personality? That is what we will be discovering today, Samiksha. A little bit of that we will discover today. Core personality is our deepest need. What is it that is the most important for us to feel happy in life? Okay, and many times we are not aware. We run behind many things. Something all my friends are doing, so I also want to do. Something is very much in fashion today, so I also want to do. Right? So we run behind a lot of things without realizing whether that is really something that gives us happiness or not. So our core personality contains those qualities, those values that are the most important for us. बाकी कुछ नहीं होगा तो चलेगा, लेकिन मेरे लिए ये होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. What are those qualities? That is what we will try and explore a little bit. Okay, there are some specific queries which if we get time we will take up. Stage fear. Yes, Gauri, we will be talking about how to know about our core personality. And stage fear, if we get a chance towards the end, we will take that up. Okay, so now what we are going to do, we will briefly talk about what are the things that shape our personality. So I'm going to ask you all a question. Do you think we are born with our personality, or do you think our personality gets shaped over a period of time? Okay, somebody is saying shaped, somebody is saying over a period of time, somebody is saying we need to develop it. So let's see what really is the case. Okay, what shapes our personality? There are many factors that contribute to our personality development, and the most important and strongest one is our genes. So there are a lot of things about us that we are born with, okay, especially our external personality. Many things about our external personality is something like our height, our body structure, the hair color, eye color, skin color. All these things are genetic. Many of our qualities are also genetic, like certain qualities like getting anxious, being shy or reserved, or being very talkative. Many of these qualities are also genetic, or they are hereditary. So we are born with these qualities. But our environment plays a very important role in the development of our personality. Our family, so what kind of family are we born into? What kind of personalities our parents, our brothers and sisters, and if we live in a joint family, other family members have, how our interactions with them in the childhood happen. All these things influence our personality. Our school plays a very important role in shaping our personality. If we have happy experiences in school, we will be more confident, we will be more assertive, we will have a better self-esteem. But if our school experiences have not been good, we have had teachers who've been unfair to us, we've not done well in school, then our personality also gets impacted. Another very important source of influence is our friends. And I'm sure all of you will agree with this. You all are at an age where friends are so important. It's so important to do things that are okay with your friend circle. Whether it is how you dress up, whether it is what subjects you follow, whether it is what kind of shows you watch on Netflix. So many things we get influenced by our friends. Sometimes we also get influenced into negative things by our friends, where it comes to negative habits, certain substances, certain distractions. Also, friends can impact us, right? And finally, the environment or the society in which we are born. So, and this is a lot of things. It is your country, what country you are born in shapes your personality, your religion shapes your personality, your society shapes your personality. So whether you're living in a city or whether you're living in a remote village, that will shape your personality. So your environment, meaning your surroundings, also shape and contribute to the development of your personality. So now when we talk about personality development, what we are really talking about is genes part. Can we change? Can we change our genes? Not really, right? We can't change what we are born with. So yes, of course, if I'm born with a body structure that's more plump, I can work out, I can control my diet and bring a little bit control into that, or a little bit change into that. But if I have the genes for being very short in height, maybe little bit of cycling, little bit of stretching will help a little bit. But from a short person, I'm not going to become a tall person, right? So all the things that are part of our personality that come from our genes are what we need to accept. If I'm less than 5 feet, I'm less than 5 feet. I need to accept that. I wish I had curly hair, but I am stuck with straight hair. Yes, of course, you can use procedures to make your hair curly temporarily, but the original nature of your hair will not change. So those things of our personality that are genetic, we need to accept. And especially when it comes to our physical appearance, it's very important that we become comfortable with who we are. You know, there is a saying in English which says, be comfortable in your own skin. Be comfortable with the body structure, skin color, hair, nose, features that we are born with. Because that forms the foundation of how good or bad you feel about yourself. Whereas everything else, whatever has shaped us based on our early experiences in the family, in school, with friends and our surroundings, we can change. We can take efforts to identify, okay, this is what I want to change about myself. For example, if somebody comes from a remote village and he comes to Bombay to study for higher studies, he realizes that he doesn't feel confident when it comes to speaking in English. That's part of his personality. I don't feel confident when I have to talk to others. But he can change that. He can take efforts, he can practice, he can go for classes, he can listen to audios, he can see videos, he can practice and overcome that. And he can become confident and he can learn the skill of speaking English better. So many things you can change and develop, but you need to identify what is it that we need to change and develop. So the first step in developing your personality is knowing your personality. And we will be doing a short exercise for that in some time. The next step, identifying areas of strengths and weaknesses. Like I said, all of us have strengths and weaknesses. ऐसा कोई नहीं है जिसमें कोई दोष नहीं है, सिर्फ गुण है. सभी के अंदर कुछ गुण भी है, कुछ दोष भी है. लेकिन हम में से कुछ लोग ऐसे होते हैं जो हमारे दोषों पर काम करते हैं और गुणों को ज़्यादा अच्छी तरीके से लोगों के सामने दिखाते हैं. हम में से कुछ लोग ऐसे होते हैं जो हमारे गुण नहीं दिखा पाते और लोगों को सिर्फ हमारे दोष दिखते हैं. स्पेशली इफ़ यू हैव प्रॉब्लम्स विथ मैनेजिंग योर एंगर, इफ़ यू हैव डिफिकल्टीज विथ डीलिंग विथ योर एंग्जाइटी, देन अदर पीपल ओनली गेट टू सी दोज थिंग्स. All your good qualities get hidden from them. So we need to know what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, and how to balance the two. Strengthen our strengths and work on our weaknesses. And like I said, identify what can be developed and what has to be accepted. I really want to be a 6-footer, but I'm stuck at 4.9. I can't change that. I have to accept it. But I really want to become confident when I speak to others. Of course, I can change that if I take the right efforts. So identifying what can be changed and working on that, and identifying what has to be accepted and working on that is very, very important. And then we develop a plan to work on the areas that we have identified and keep working on ourselves and keep monitoring our progress, right? So now let's get into knowing ourselves a little better. I'm just going to check. Yes. How to identify our strengths and weaknesses. How do our conflicts help influence our personality? Saket, if time permits, I will talk about conflicts. Yeah. How does religion affect our personality? Anushka, that's a whole new topic. But in briefly, if I have to tell you, religion and the cultural background that we come from influences our personality in a very big way. So, for example, I'll give you an example of Eastern and Western cultures. So, in most of the Eastern cultures, our way of showing respect to adults is if you talk to your seniors, you talk to elders in the family, you will see how your parents talk to their parents. They are very respectful. They usually never look up to the seniors in the family. They will, when the seniors are scolding them, they will look down with their head bowed down. Correct? That's the way of showing respect in most Eastern cultures, not just India, but you take Chinese culture, you take Japanese culture, Korean culture, most Eastern cultures, that's the way of showing respect. You don't look up into the eye of somebody you respect. But if you go to the West, if you go to the US, you go to Canada, you go to even Australia, any of the developed cultures, they consider it rude if you don't give eye contact. So if you're not giving eye contact to somebody, they think you are being disrespectful. So if you respect somebody, you need to look the person in the eye when you talk to him or her. Right? And all these cultural differences come from our religious teachings. Similarly, certain religions have certain specific things that are approved and not approved of. So that influences our personality. Okay, so there are many such ways in which our religion and our cultural background influences our personality. Okay, so what we are going to do is, now we are going to try and become a little aware of our feelings, our thoughts, our interests, and how we understand ourselves and our personalities better. So I'm going to stop for a bit here and I'm going to tell you something. Whenever we face any situation, there are three things that happen. Okay? We have a feeling or an emotion. Okay? We think something about that situation. And we have a bodily reaction. So for example, you just find out that your best friend was speaking very badly about you to others. The moment you find that out, you feel very angry. So anger is your feeling or emotion. Then when you feel angry, what is it that you're thinking? How could she do this to me? I trusted him and he has betrayed me. This is the thought you have. Correct? So there is a thought, there is a feeling, and how do you feel anger in your body? Just take a minute to connect to anger and see how do you feel anger in your body. Your face flushes, your eyes become wide. Some of you, if you're very angry, your hands may start shivering in anger. Correct? So every emotion we feel in our body also, not just in our hearts. Yes, red, your face gets red. So all these different things happen. Okay, so I'm going to show you some situations as examples and we are going to discuss what could be the thought, what could be the feeling, and what could be the body's reaction, because it's very important for us to know this. Many times we get confused between thoughts and feelings. Okay, one thing we always say is whenever anything negative happens, we say, I felt so bad. Bad is not a feeling. You can feel sad, you can feel angry, you can feel afraid, you can feel disappointed. These are feelings. Bad is not a feeling. But when we say bad, we generalize. It could mean any of these things. So it's very important for us to identify what exact feeling we are experiencing. Yeah? And thoughts. We also get confused between thoughts and feelings. I felt so upset is a feeling. But if you say, I felt he is no longer my friend. He is no longer my friend is not a feeling, it's a thought. That's what you thought which made you feel upset. Correct? So we are going to just practice a little bit to identify thoughts, feelings and behaviors. Okay. Okay, is the worksheet visible to all of you? So we are going to call this exercise, my body is a mirror to my emotions. So there are some situations given here. You have to identify the feeling you would experience in these situations. Then identify the changes that will happen in various parts of your body when you experience them. Okay. For example, your family members have gone out of town and you are alone at home. in the middle of the night somebody knocks the door loudly, what will be your thought? आप घर में अकेले हैं, आपकी पूरी फैमिली गांव गई है और आप अकेले घर में रह रहे हैं कुछ दिन के लिए, और सडनली रात को मिडनाइट को कोई ज़ोर से दरवाज़ा खटखटाता है, आप क्या सोचेंगे? What will be your feelings? Okay, what will be your thoughts? Is it okay? Hang on. We are talking about the thought. What will be the thought? Yes, who could be at this hour? Should I call or should I not answer the door? Who is knocking at this time? Can it be a thief? Who is it? These are all the thoughts we will have. Now let's look at feelings. What will be the feelings? Fear, suspicion, anxiety, panic. Very good, excellent, superb. And what will happen in your body the moment that you hear that loud knocking on the door? What will happen to your body? What changes will happen in your body? Yes, excellent. Pale face, trembling, heart beats faster, body will shiver, goosebumps, fast heartbeat. Excellent, excellent children. I'm so happy to see these responses. What I want you to understand is try and differentiate. What is the thought, what is the feeling, and what are the bodily changes? Okay, let's do the next example. You have a huge fight with your best friend and you're feeling extremely angry with him or her. What is the thought? What will be the thought if you have a huge fight with your best friend? How could he have said this to me? Have I done it right? I feel like beating him. He's a bad person. Why is he doing this to me? Wow, we should just work it out. Why did they do like that? Am I right? Am I wrong? Was this worth it? Superb. Feeling, of course, we already know that we will be feeling angry. Other than anger, will we feel anything? Guilty, yes, possibly. Regret, sadness. Yes, very good. Upset. I feel sorry for her. So when you say I feel sorry, what is the emotion? When you feel sorry for somebody, what is the emotion? Absolutely, it's empathy. You feel empathetic, or you can feel sympathy, or you can feel pity. Correct? You feel sad for that person. That is what you mean when you say I feel sorry for that person. And when you are angry, what are the bodily changes? Bodily changes in anger? Flushed face, edginess. So physically you feel restless. Face red, shivering, headache, irritated, widened eyes, grinding teeth, fast breathing, hands will shiver. Superb. Excellent. Awesome. Okay. So what I want you to take from this is 3 things. Whenever we experience any situation, usually there is a thought that we have, and that thought leads to our feelings. Okay? Many times they all 3 come together, so we don't understand. But we need to understand that it is the thought that creates our feeling. Okay? For example, you have a fight with a friend, same example we will take, and your thought is, how could she do this to me? Then comes your anger, then comes your upset, then comes your feeling, your body reactions. But like somebody had put in the chat box, if after having the fight, your first thought is, we can sort this out. If that is your thought, then you're not going to feel angry. You will be calm. You will be irritated maybe, but the intensity of the anger will be less. You will be calm. And what will be your behavior? You will try and talk to your friend. You will tell, okay, let me give her some time. Once she and I are both calm, let's talk about it. And you will not have the strong body reactions. Okay? So our thoughts create our feelings. This is very, very important lesson for us to remember, that thoughts create feelings. Our thoughts make our world. If we think happy thoughts, we see and pick up the good things in life. But if we are constantly looking for negative things in our surroundings, that's what we will keep seeing. So the most important thing for us is to be aware of our thoughts. Okay, and like I said, this is something we do and practice over a period of time. All right. So now coming back to the self-awareness, I'm going to put up some questions on the slide. If you have a pen and paper handy with you, I want you all to take 30 seconds for each of the questions and think about them. If you can't immediately come up with an answer, that's okay. What I will do is I will share these questions with you all later for you all to think about. But for now, just take a few seconds and come up with your answer. You don't need to put it in the chat box. This is for your personal awareness. Okay, to understand yourselves a little better. Okay, so somebody asked, how do we get to the core of our personality? These are some of the questions that when you think over, mull over, and come up with the answers to, you will be able to get to the core of your personality, the core of your being. So respond to each question honestly and truthfully. Like I said, some of the questions you'll be immediately able to come up with an answer. Some of the questions you may not immediately come up with an answer. That's okay. It's something that you need to maybe think about at a later point in time. For now, just let each question stay with you. Whatever you can easily answer, just make a note of your answers. List 5 of your strengths. The first 5 strengths that occur to you, just make a list of those. I'm going to pause after each question to give you all time to answer. Once you've done your strengths, list 5 of your weaknesses. Qualities that you feel are not so good. You need to improve on them. You need to change them. No, you don't have to write your answers in the chat box. You just make a note of the answers for your own self awareness. How do your friends describe you? Typically, what do your friends say about you? And do you agree with their description? We can learn a lot about ourselves by how people look at us, how people see us. They may not always be right, but it's important to know how we appear to other people. Do my friends think, oh, he's a scholar, he's always well prepared? Or do they think, हाँ इसको तो कुछ नहीं बोल सकते, ये सबको जाके बताएगी? What do your friends think about you? What situations are you most comfortable in? Any 2 situations where you feel most at ease, means you feel most comfortable. कौन सी situations में आप बहुत comfortable, relaxed feel करते हैं? Is it when you're by yourself listening to music? Is it when you are dancing? Is it when you are talking to your friends? Is it when you are studying or appearing for an exam? In which situations you feel most comfortable? What types of activities did you enjoy doing when you were a child? When you were about, say, 7-8 years old? When you were in primary school? What did you like to do? आप जब बहुत छोटे थे तो आपको क्या करना पसंद था? Did you play for hours with Lego? Or did you play with Hot Wheels? Or did you like playing in the garden on the swing? Or did you like it when your parent read to you? As a child, what were the activities that gave you joy? And what about now? Now that you are a teenager, what are the activities that you enjoy the most? And I hope and wish that for 90% of you, the answer is not playing video games or playing on my PlayStation. I know, unfortunately, that will be the answer for most of you. But still, ask yourself that question. Now that you are a teenager, what are the activities that you enjoy the most? What is the thing you would love to do whenever you have free time? What motivates you? What gives you the energy every day to feel positive and good about life? The questions on this slide you may not immediately find answers to, but it's okay. I want you to just start thinking about these. What are your dreams for the future? Have you thought about your future? 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line. How do you see yourself? आप भविष्य में अपने आप को कैसा देखना चाहोगे? What do you fear the most in life? What is your biggest fear? आपका सबसे बड़ा fear क्या है? डर क्या है? What stresses you? What kind of situations, events stress you and how you react to the stress? कौन सी चीज़ों से तनाव महसूस होता है, टेंशन महसूस होती है? और जब टेंशन आता है तो आप कैसे बिहेव करते हो? Some of us, when we are stressed, we tend to cry. Some of us become angry. Some of us throw a tantrum. Some of us withdraw into ourselves. Some of us get a headache, a stomach ache. What is your response to stress? How do you typically deal with stress? What qualities do you like to see in people? Which qualities impress you? You already partly answered this question when you talked about your impressive personality. So, these were some questions to help you to connect to the core of your being, to the core of your personality, and try and understand it. Like I said, some of these questions you may be immediately able to come up with answers. Some of them make you think a lot. So I hope you have made note of the questions and just keep mulling over these questions, keep thinking about these questions. Somebody is annotating, and may I request you all to stop that, please?
Mr. Piyush, can you please stop all the annotations? Mr. Piyush, can you please disable the annotations?
I have disabled it, but like I said, that it is on ma'am's options over there. She can disable it from her end.
Okay, let me check.
There's a bar on the top.
Uh-huh.
Just click on more. and disable annotations.
Okay. Okay, done. Thank you. Yeah. So some of these questions are for you to make note of and think over. And you will also notice that sometimes your answers keep changing. As we get new experiences in life, we learn new things. Sometimes our personality also tends to grow, right? That's what we want. We want our personalities to grow. How do I erase it? I don't know how to erase this. So I'm just going to stop share and start again. Okay. It's not working. One second.
What's
Just
not
give me a
working?
second. I'm not able to stop share.
Ma'am, there would be an option to remove the annotation.
My screen is hung. Just give me a second.
You want me to stop sharing from you?
Can you?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, it stopped sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah, ma'am, you can share again.
Yeah. Okay, so this is something, like I said, food for thought for you all to connect better to the deeper parts of you. And now we come to the challenges that all of you are facing. So Gen Z, we like to call you all the Gen Z. The challenges that you face, many of them are very unique, very different challenges to what other generations have faced. I have just put a few of them. I'm sure you have more to add to this list. So your academic environment is very, very competitive. Just now all the 10th standard board results came out and 90% students have got 90% marks, right? So it's very, very competitive. No matter how hard you work, it's not enough. So if you want to achieve success in life, you have to be very focused, very sustained efforts you need to take, right? Communication gap with adults, especially with parents, and I'm so happy to know that in the next session you all are going to be addressing this. So this is a big challenge because you feel that parents just don't understand you. They don't realize what's important for you, what's not important for you. You don't realize what's important for them. So there is a lot of communication gap with adults. Lot of time management challenges. There is so much you need to do. You have school, you have your tuitions, you have your extracurricular activities, and of course there are so many distractions. There is social media, there is OTT, there is of course the gaming platforms. So many things to focus on and so many temptations, so many distractions. How to manage time? So important, so challenging. There are a lot of conflicting value systems. Now, what do we mean by conflicting value systems? We grow up in a family, so our family gives us a set of values that we have grown up believing in. But as we interact more and more with our friends, with the world around us, we realize that many of the values are not working out for us. So we experience a lot of conflict. A very simple example I'll give you is all of us. I'm sure all of you have grown up with your parents telling you you should never copy in exams. You should always be honest. Just answer what you have prepared for. Do your best. Be sincere. And when you see, especially now, we all know that in the online format, virtual exams, so many students are cheating and copying. And you know that all your friends have copied and they get better marks than you. You feel upset, right? You feel conflicted. You feel, why should I be honest? When they are all cheating and doing better, why should I not cheat? So we have certain values we have grown up with, but those get challenged. So we need to decide for ourselves what is right, what is wrong, what is appropriate, what is inappropriate. We have to create our own value system. And this is a very challenging and painful process. If you have a stable personality, if you have significant important people around you, including friends as well as adults, with whom you can discuss these things, you can resolve these conflicts in a better manner. But these are some of the challenges which probably you feel nobody will understand. Teachers will not understand, parents will not understand, because it's something they have not faced. And of course, gadget hygiene and managing screen time, one of the biggest challenges. I know that a lot of you will be having situations at home where your parents are constantly telling you to reduce screen time, and deep down you also know that you need to reduce it, but implementing that becomes very challenging, very difficult. So how to maintain gadget hygiene is a unique challenge which probably earlier generations have not faced. Okay, so there are many challenges, and when we talk about personality development, there are so many things that come into it. Correct? There are so many topics that can come under personality development. Your body language, how you think, changing your thought process, setting goals for yourself, managing your time, communication skills, managing negotiations, managing interactions with others, interpersonal skills. So many topics come under personality development, and I was wondering what topics should we address today. So I thought I'm going to talk about a few basic, very fundamental basic competencies or qualities that if you develop, you will be able to handle these and other challenges in a better and more positive manner. Okay, so we are going to talk about just a few of these qualities, fundamental in my understanding, in my experience working with so many youngsters. And if you work on just these few qualities, you will start noticing a change in your personalities and in your world. So the first one among them is emotional intelligence. EQ is the new IQ. All of you have heard the words IQ? Everybody knows what's an IQ? Can I have the answers in the chat box? What is IQ? What do we mean by IQ? Yes, I know you have heard, but tell me what it means. Intelligence quotient. What do we mean by intelligence? Yes, so IQ is your intelligence quotient. How intelligent you are, what is your capacity to think and absorb information around you. Okay, and EQ, anybody has any idea what is EQ? Can anybody tell me what's EQ? Yes, EQ is your emotional quotient, or how you can grasp, understand and manage your emotions. Okay, so earlier people used to think IQ is very important. If you have high IQ, you can be successful in life. But then a lot of psychologists did research, and they found out that sometimes two people with the same IQ level, one person becomes a very successful leader and the other person becomes a total failure. So how come both had the same intelligence? Then how come one was a success, other was a failure? They found out that the reason was the EQ of the person, which is emotional quotient. What does EQ? In simple words, EQ is our capacity for recognizing our own feelings as well as those of others. And just like I told you, we often say I feel good, I feel bad, but we don't really understand what is the real feeling we are feeling. Okay, so understanding, identifying our own feelings, understanding feelings of others, being able to motivate ourselves, being able to manage our emotions as well as manage our relationships. So EQ is nothing but being smart with feelings. Emotional intelligence is being smart with feelings. It is the intelligence of the heart. It is your ability to understand and use your feelings to get along well in your life. Okay, so EI is the intelligence of the heart. Some simple ways in which we can learn to become more emotionally intelligent. Stay open to pleasant and unpleasant emotions. So sometimes we all like happy experiences, we all like positive emotional experiences, but we run away from negative emotions. But our negative emotions are also there for a reason. They exist for a reason. So if we experience a negative emotion, we have to allow ourselves to feel it. For example, if God had not given us the ability to feel scared, would the evolution of mankind have happened? Had the prehistoric man not felt scared when he saw a lion in the jungle and run away, he would have been killed and eaten by that lion, right? So fear is necessary for survival. Anger is necessary because it gives us the energy to fight injustice. Correct? So every emotion exists for a reason. So whenever we find ourselves feeling unhappy, disappointed, depressed, sad, anxious, we need to connect to that feeling and ask ourselves, okay, what is bringing up this feeling for me now? And try and understand what experience is affecting us. Notice how your body responds to different emotions. We already did this exercise to find out how our body responds to emotions. Tune in to both verbal and non-verbal aspects of people's communication. Okay, so we already spoke a little bit about body language. I'm going to talk a little more about it when I talk about communication skills, but for now just understand that people many times say something but their bodies are saying something else. And when there is a mismatch between what your words are saying and what your body is saying, people will believe the body. So for example, suppose you meet your friend and you notice that your friend is looking very low and isn't talking very well to you, and you ask your friend, what's the matter, are you angry with me? And your friend says, no, I'm not angry with you, nothing is the matter. So your friend's words are saying, I'm not angry, but what is her face telling you? Right? The face is telling the opposite. The face and the body language is telling us that she's actually angry. Correct? So, when she's saying something and her face is saying something, will you believe her words or her face? Yes, actions speak louder than words. Very true, Avanti. Body does not lie. Our face does not lie. Okay? So it's very important that when we are communicating, we are speaking, our words and our bodies speak the same language. And it's important that we learn to connect other people's words and their body language and their facial expressions as well. Yes, very true, Kritika. If we are telling the truth and we smile, the other person thinks we are lying. Correct? And yes, sometimes it could be that she's angry with somebody else, but we will feel she's angry with us because her face shows the anger. Right? So please remember, it's easy to lie with our words. It's very hard for our body to lie. So we have to be in sync with our body and our words and make sure they both speak the same language. Right? Do not suppress any emotion. Focus on expressing them using appropriate words and actions. So for example, if you're angry with somebody, it's important that you communicate that to the other person. Of course, there is a way to communicate. Right? If you're angry with your friend, you will yell and shout. If you're angry with your parent also, sometimes you'll walk out of the room or you'll bang the door. If you're angry with your teacher, you may not do that. You will swallow your anger. Correct? So whenever you feel any emotion, it's important to express that emotion in an appropriate way. If you feel you're not in control of your emotions, give yourself some time to calm down. Once you feel calm, then go and express that emotion. But as much as possible, try and express your emotions. Sometimes it may not be possible. So for example, it may not be possible for you to tell your teacher, I was angry with you, because teacher is at a higher position. But it's then important to talk about it either with a friend or with a parent or somebody, so that you don't keep it repressed or bottled up inside you, but you let it out. Finding some or the other way to express your emotion is very important. Some of us may not be very comfortable expressing in words, but there are other sources. We can use creative ways, to express our emotions. Any creative activity, be it sketching, drawing, sculpting, doodling, dancing, working out, running, gymming, all these are creative or bodily ways of releasing our emotions. So if we are not comfortable with words, we need to find some outlet, some source that helps us to release our negative emotions. But it's very important to do that. I'm going to pause the share for a minute and I'm going to ask you if you have any question, anything, any clarification that you want about emotional intelligence, because it's a relatively new concept.
And madam, I would like to put it over here also that emotional intelligence is the topic after the 5th September workshop, which is going to be taken. Okay, so it is rather one, and we had the same in scientific sessions yesterday. It was one of the
Okay.
topics yesterday.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, emotional intelligence is something big which the children need to understand, work upon, and it will be one of the sessions at Teen Fest, the Teen
Excellent.
Talk.
Excellent. I'm happy to know that. Okay, I have a question. Sometimes we pass our emotion to another person, so people are the key to open up them. Okay, yes, Avanti, that's a very interesting thing, and I'm glad you put that in the chat box. Some of us tend to be more emotionally sensitive. Okay, so sometimes we pick up the emotions of others as well. Like sometimes if you enter the home, nobody is saying anything, but you immediately pick up something is wrong. You pick up, I think today your sister has gotten a lecture from your mom, something. So sometimes we pick up the energy, we pick up the emotions of others, and sometimes we can pass the emotions also. Unfortunately, especially negative emotions, if you walk into a room being very very angry, you kind of bleed that anger into the room, and people who are emotionally sensitive will pick that anger up. Okay, yes, that's true, it happens, which is why being aware of our emotions and trying to modify or modulate them is very important. And when I say modulate, I don't mean suppress. No emotion needs to be suppressed, but we have to find the right way and right source in which we can express it. And hopefully when you do the session on emotional intelligence, you will learn more deeper ways of doing that. What if we don't feel emotional connection to somebody in the family? It can happen at times that you feel you can't connect to anybody in the family because you are at an age where, like I said, you feel they don't understand you. As long as you have some adult that you can talk to, it could be a mama, a bua, a masi, a neighbor, a teacher. If nobody else, most of y'all may be going to schools and colleges where you have a school counselor, where you have a college counselor. It's important that you vent your feelings with some adult, right? So ideally somebody in the family, but if you feel you can't connect to somebody in the family, then some other adult that you respect and that you trust, it's important to talk about those. Okay, how about people who fear to express? Like I said, some of us have difficulty in expressing emotions through words. We can start by expressing emotions through other ways. Any creative outlet, like I said, it could be writing a poem, it could be drawing, it could be any hobby that you have. Your hobbies are the best ways in which you can be deeply connected to your emotional state and release those emotions. So anything that gives you joy, that can be a source for you to non-verbally express your emotions and slowly build comfort about expressing emotions. Okay, how about, okay, there are many questions on emotions. Why does it feel like anger is the only emotion we feel? Okay, so what happens is anger is a protective emotion, children. Sometimes, or most of the times, anger hides a deeper emotion. If you ask yourself, what about this situation is making me angry? You dig a little deeper into your anger, you will realize that it is actually that you're feeling sad, or you're feeling afraid, or you're feeling very depressed, right? But because when you feel sad and depressed and afraid, you are vulnerable. Anger is there to protect you. So if you are feeling anger all the time, it is very possible that you are expressing some other negative, unhappy emotion from which your anger is trying to protect you. Okay? So try talking to your anger. Ask your anger, what are you trying to protect me from? What is it that you want me to do? Keep communicating with your feelings. They will tell you why they exist. Okay? But understand that anger is always a protective emotion. It usually protects you from another emotion which can be more painful. Okay, so there are many more questions. Let me just go forward first, and then as and when we get time, we can take questions towards the end. Is that okay, Dr. Archana?
Madam, I think it will be better if we take questions towards the end.
All right.
I'm writing them down and we'll
All
take
right,
it up.
perfect. Okay, so let me share the screen. Next important quality we come to is presence of mind. Okay, what does presence of mind mean? Very simply, it means being able to think on your a lot of stuff happening at a very rapid pace. So for your generation, being able to quickly change course, to have mental agility, means to have the mental speed to change course mid journey. You're planning a certain thing, suddenly something changes, you need to adapt. You need to address the unexpected when it comes up and do it in a smooth manner. Simple example, what's happening with all of you with COVID, right? Before COVID, could we even think of doing school online, not just for a day, 2 days, but almost 1.5 years? But you all have had to adapt to it. Correct? So you need to have the mental speed, the mental agility to adapt to changes very fast. If your mind is fully present to the situation, if you're fully focused, fully immersed in what you're doing, then you will be able to go with the flow very effortlessly. A very common phrase, proverb that I use here is, when life gives you lemons, make lemonades. You never know what's going to happen in life, but whatever the situation you are pushed into, you need to make the best out of that situation for yourself. How can we build presence of mind? Like I said, being fully present to each and every moment. If you are completely tuned into a situation, you will be able to anticipate the unexpected changes before they happen. Presence of mind is about integrity and honesty, not about finding shortcuts to situations. Presence of mind is not about diluting your values, compromising your values. It is about adapting to the situation, taking your value system with you. Always being true to what you believe in, always being honest and having integrity to your value system, and then making changes. Presence of mind doesn't mean we take shortcuts in life. That's very, very important for you all to know. Now we come to communication skills, which is a whole topic, and we can have an entire workshop on communication skills itself. But briefly, we will talk about it right now. So there are many things which come under communication: your spoken word, your written word, your body language, as I keep talking about, and visual images, the images that we see. Okay. Basically, when we communicate, it is with the intention of explaining something to somebody. Okay. So right now, for example, we are doing this session. I am talking, you all are listening. Okay. So there are 3-4 processes involved, right? First is the speaker, which is me. So how I talk, how I explain concepts to you is important. Next is the listener, which is all of you. I may speak beautifully, I may be very impressive, I may make a beautiful presentation, but if you all don't listen, is it going to be a successful communication? No. So listening is an equally important component of communication skills. Then there needs to be a common medium, which is the language. Right now I'm using largely English and a little bit of Hindi. Suppose I was giving this entire presentation, I was doing the session in, say, German language. Would it be effective communication? No, because you all don't understand the language. So there has to be a common medium through which the communication happens, and there needs to be contact between two parties for communication to happen. Okay, so every step of the process is very important. There is one speaker and one or more listeners for communication to happen. What is my job? What is the speaker's job? To ensure that my message is understood by all of you. So the speaker has to ensure that he speaks in a way that his message is understood by the listener. The listener has to pay attention and understand what the speaker is saying. So the listener's job is equally important, otherwise it will not be a successful communication. Good communication is the bridge between confusion and clarity. So on one extreme is total confusion, on the other extreme is complete clarity. What helps us move from confusion to clarity? It is effective communication, where our speaking and our listening is very, very important. And I want to show you a bit of a video here to talk about body language. So what all comes in body language? There are many things in non-verbal communication. When we talk about non-verbal communication, it is our posture, our body language, our facial expressions, the tone of our voice. Okay. So I'm going to show you some small ads. These are ads of a toffee or a chocolate. When I was a younger, these were very famous ads. I'm just going to show it on YouTube to you. I hope it runs successfully. I want you to observe the tone, the facial tone and the facial expressions and the body language of the speakers. Okay. Just give me 1 minute. Is it visible? Is the screen visible? Okay, so I'm just going to play it now.
कोई टाइम है घर आने का?
पान पसंद, पान का स्वाद, गजब की मिठास।
बेटा, ये भी कोई टाइम है घर आने का? अंपायर की कसम, नो डाउट।
रावल गांव का पान पसंद गोल्ड, पान का स्वाद, गजब की मिठास।
अंपायर की कसम, नो डाउट।
सारा दिन फोन, ये घर आया टेलीफोन एक्सचेंज। पान पसंद, पान का स्वाद, गजब की मिठास। सारा दिन फोन, ये घर आया टेलीफोन एक्सचेंज। हैकट और मैं, फॉरगेट इट। पान पसंद, पान का स्वाद, गजब की मिठास। हैकट और मैं, फॉरगेट इट यार।
Were you all able to see and hear both? What is the difference you notice? Same thing was said by the person 2 times. Let's look at the last one. Haircut or मैं, forget it. What was different in the first, the way he said it first and the way he said it next? Yes, tone of his voice was very different. What about his facial expressions? How was the facial expression when he said it first? Haircut or मैं, forget it. And later on when he said, how was it? Soft, not rude, composed. Correct? And you see how different message gets conveyed by both those things? In the first one, same words. The words were exactly the same. Haircut or मैं, forget it. But when he said it first time, it was very aggressive, very rude, and it was very clear that he's angry. But when he said it the same time, haircut or मैं, forget it. He said it with a smile. He was not rude, he was not aggressive, he was not angry. So it conveyed a completely different message, as if he's talking jokingly. Isn't it? So, and all these little dialogues that you saw, it was the same, right? First time, it's the same dialogue, but when you say it in an angry tone, it conveys a very different message. And when you convey it in a softer tone with a smile on your voice, it gives a very different message. Okay, this was just a very small example to tell you how important the tone of our voice and our facial expressions are. Same words can convey very different meanings based on the tone, the body language, and your facial expressions. Let's go forward. Some ways to build communication skills. When you are talking, be very clear and specific. Focus exactly on what you want to convey and be very clear. Don't confuse the listener. Speak in crisp, concise, and to the point sentences. Always make sure that you're speaking to the topic. You're speaking exactly what needs to be said. You're not going all over the place, talking 20 different things before coming to your point. Be aware of your body language. Your body speaks volumes, like we just saw. When you are the listener, listen attentively. Remember, communication is a two-way process. Many times when we are listening, we are just in a hurry to answer. So in our head, we are already formulating our answer. Correct? But when you are listening, give your 100% focus and attention to the speaker so that you will listen completely. Use appropriate language. Like I said, the language that you will use at home, say with your grandparents or with your parents, the language that you will use with your teachers, and the language that you use with your friends or your siblings are very different. So whoever you are talking to, make sure you're using the appropriate language while talking. Empathize. To have good communication, it's very important that you put yourself in the shoes of the speaker, shoes of the other person, and hear them out. So when you try to truly keep an open mind and connect to what they are trying to say, what they mean, how they are feeling, communication becomes a lot more effective. Some simple communication tips, okay? Like I already said, listening skills. There is no way to be a good communicator without being a good listener. But what is important is to listen to carefully with attention. Be clear and concise. Do not, like I already said, do not use long sentences that are difficult to understand, and stick to the main points. Be positive and patient. The positive attitude has a huge power for successful relationships. And remember, it is always a pleasure to speak with positive people. Everybody likes to speak to people who are positive. Use body language appropriately. The signs and signals your body gives sends messages to the listener. Be confident when you're speaking, especially if you are an introvert and you are unsure. There are many tips and techniques that are helpful. You can practice in front of the mirror, you can practice speaking aloud, you can practice with a few close people, but build on your ability to speak in front of others. When you're confident, it is easy for people to trust you and rely on you. Be respectful. People love to see that somebody is respecting their efforts, opinions, and abilities. So remember to speak to everybody politely. And feedback. It's very important to give feedback. Giving feedback shows that you are not just a passive listener, which is why I'm asking you all all the time in the chat, okay, tell me what you think, tell me how you respond to this, because I need that feedback from you. Otherwise, I don't know whether you're listening, whether you're able to understand what I'm saying or not. So communication is always a two-way process. And had this been a real session, a real workshop, you would have spoken a lot more had it been so. Because unfortunately we are doing it virtually, we are a lot of participants. Since we can't unmute ourselves, at least through chat we keep giving our feedback so that the communication goes forward in a positive manner. Then we come to the most important quality that I'm going to talk about today. Okay, and this is a riddle for you. You can't touch it, but it affects how you feel. You can't see it, but it's there when you look at yourself in the mirror. You can't hear it, but it's there every time you talk about yourself. What is this important but mysterious thing? Any guesses? Soul, personality, feelings, emotions. Okay. It is your self-esteem. What does self-esteem mean? How much you value yourself as a person, the regard and value that you have for yourself. Basically, self-esteem is the confidence we have in our ability to think and to cope with the basic challenges of life. I have an exam coming. Do I feel confident in myself that I will be able to do my best? There is something that happens in life. I have a fight with a friend. Do I think I have the ability to resolve that fight? How much do I believe in myself and my abilities? That's what self-esteem is, and it forms the very core of how you deal with life. And my dear friends, when you talk about personality development, one of the most important things that we need to work upon is to make sure we have a healthy self-esteem. There are many components to our self-esteem: self-confidence, self-worth, and self-belief. Now, all these are similar sounding words, but they mean slightly different things. Self-confidence is simply confidence that, okay, if there is a challenge, I can meet that challenge. Doesn't mean I have to be 100% successful, but I can give it my best shot. Okay, so that's confidence about your abilities. Self-worth is, how do I see myself as a person? Do I like myself? Or do I think I'm a completely worthless, useless human being? So how much you value or consider yourself worthy. And self-belief is how much you believe in yourself. It's very important. If we believe in ourselves, the world is going to believe in us. But if we don't believe in ourselves, why should anybody else believe in us? Right? So this is something we all need to work on. And remember, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. So how you feel mirrors how others treat you. Okay, so if you walk with your head high, if you have a high esteem for yourself, automatically people treat you respectfully. So this is something we need to work on and build. How do we build our self-esteem? You guys have already started the first step today, which is identifying your strengths and your positive aspects, right? Make a note of your achievements. Whenever you achieve anything, no matter how big or small, make a note about your achievements. Give yourself a pat on the back. Okay, now what does this mean? In the class, there will be some students who achieve 90% marks. Some may be achieving 80% marks. Some of you may be struggling to even manage a 60%. But you work very hard, and one exam from 60% you move to 64%. That's an achievement. Your comparison is with yourself. Your comparison is not with the topper of the class. Correct? So whenever you feel you have achieved something, it may be very small for the rest of the world, but you know how much you worked hard for it. Appreciate yourself. Praise yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back. Don't compare yourself with others. Like I said right in the beginning, you are unique. There is nobody else in the whole universe like you. So no need to compare to others. Compare with yourself. Okay, if I could achieve this, can I now try to achieve some more? So compare with yourself, not with anybody else. Try not to be like somebody else. Do not try to become copycats of anybody else, and turn failures and setbacks into winning situations. There will be setbacks in life. Life is full of ups and downs. Life is full of rain and sunshine. We have to learn to make rainbows out of them. Right? So there will be failures, there will be setbacks. We have to use them as a stepping stone to learn something and grow as a human being. Okay, so this is something all of us owe to ourselves, working on enhancing our self-esteem. A high self-esteem will ensure that whatever challenges you face in life, you will be able to overcome them successfully. Okay? So let's take a few moments to appreciate yourselves. Again, I want you all to answer these questions in your mind. You don't have to put it in chat, but answer it in your mind. First question, I like myself because... Think about why you like yourself. I do dash very well. What is the thing that you think you do very well? I feel good about... I feel good about... I feel good about nothing. Then you need to think. Whoever has answered I feel good about nothing, find something about yourself that you feel good about. I consider myself a good... I consider myself a good son, a good brother, a good friend, a good artist, a good footballer, a good musician, a good gamer. I like the way I feel about myself when... I like the way I feel about myself when... When I help people, when I'm polite, when I'm creative. And the last one, what I really enjoy most is... music, sketching, playing games, company, listening to music, playing cricket. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so we need to find ways to appreciate ourselves, make ourselves feel good. Not always wait for that pat on the back to come from others. Of course, all of us like to be appreciated. All of us like to be praised by people around us. But it's also important that we appreciate and praise ourselves. So, just to kind of summarize, developing the personality, in simple words, the goal of human life is to continuously gain knowledge and keep learning. As long as we are alive, as long as we are breathing, we keep learning, we keep growing, we keep developing. And this is what we should constantly strive for, no matter how old we become, no matter what our life situation is. And from time to time, ask yourself, what am I doing to learn and grow? What am I doing right now to learn and grow? Learning cannot happen in a disturbed state of mind, so we should always endeavor to be in a calm and peaceful state. There are many ways in which we can calm ourselves down: spending time with our loved ones, reading inspiring, uplifting books, taking guidance from role model or adults that we look up to, learning from our scriptures, learning from our culture. There are many ways in which we can calm ourselves and become equanimous when we are disturbed about something. We have to reach out to the right sources that are available to us and find a way to keep growing and developing our personality for the rest of our lives. And always remember, you are special. You are unique. There is nobody like you. And you deserve being who you are. Okay, so with that, I'm going to stop the share and we can take the questions.
Thank you, madam, for that awesome presentation. And I think the children are going to take home a lot today. And I really, what this session, I feel it was definitely an eye-opener for us also as doctors, as parents, when we guide not only our patients, but also our children. But I'm sure the children have taken home a lot today, and there is a list of questions. And with your permission, I think, can we start taking them?
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Fine. All right. I think the initial few you've already taken them. How does the religion affect our personality? Okay. So how our conflicts influence personality?
Yeah. So conflicts usually happen with people whom we care about or who care about us. If you have a conflict with somebody walking down the road, it will not make an impact on you, right? You will feel angry and upset for some time, you will forget about it. But when conflict happens with somebody we are close to, either a family member or a close friend or maybe a teacher, that is when it starts affecting us, because our self-esteem gets affected. If we realize that we are constantly having a conflict with a parent, for example, our self-esteem gets affected, because our self-esteem draws from all these people who are important to us. Okay, so one way to do it is, one thing I always say, every conflict has a resolution. There is a resolution for every conflict, and the best way to resolve a conflict is through communication. So if we can find a way to reach out and communicate and keep an open mind, especially when conflicts are with members in the family, with adults in the family, we understand one thing: there can be a lot of conflict, there can be a lot of differences, but the intention is not questioned. We know that it's coming out of good intentions for us, for our well-being, for our sake. So once we know that the intention is fine, then the anger goes down and it creates a space in which we can negotiate with our parents. Try and understand what they are saying. Try and see things from their perspective. Try and explain your perspective, and your perspective is important. Just because they are adults, I'm not saying you have to assume that they are right. You are right in your own way, but you need to convey that background to them, and a common ground can be reached. So yes, if there is constant conflict, it can affect your personality and your self-esteem. So the best thing to do is take charge to resolve the conflict. Yeah.
Yes. And what I would like to put over here, the children, you must understand your parents have come from a different background. Okay, the kind of personality development session probably which you are getting to learn today, your parents never had a chance to learn. Okay, so they never had so much approach to the YouTubes or the different kind of media that you have today. They have grown up in a completely different environment. So the communication with them, of course, may be different, but if you are having an access to these kind of communications, which is making you understand that communication is important. Okay, so understand your parents' perspective and try to develop an open channel of communication, which will solve, I think, most of the conflicts in the family. If you are able to express yourself and your parents are able to understand your, expressions and your needs. Okay, so moving on to the next question, madam, how to identify your own strengths and weaknesses and your passion, because this is coming again and again.
Yeah, there is. So like I said, the best way to identify your strengths and weaknesses is to keep asking yourself from time to time. See, nobody understands us better than ourselves. So we know what comes easily to us, what doesn't come easily to us, and strengths are of various kinds. Strengths can be academic strengths. Okay, for example, English and history is my strength, but math is my weakness. So strengths can be academic, strengths can be in terms of creatives. I'm very good at art, but I'm pathetic at embroidery. Correct? So start asking concrete questions to yourself. Then you ask yourself, okay, what are the qualities about myself that I feel are good? I'm usually helpful to my grandparents. I always try and make them comfortable. That's a strength. But I often become very harsh when I'm talking to my mom. I lose my patience when I'm talking to my mom or my younger sister. That's a weakness. So keep asking yourself. And one of the best exercises that you can implement for life is, end of the day, every day before you go to bed, ask yourself, what is the one good thing I did today and what is the one not so good thing I did today. It will take you 30 seconds or 1 minute at the most to do this. But that will help you build insight into your strengths and your weaknesses. Okay? The way to know your strengths and weaknesses is to connect to yourself. Of course, there are scientific means as well. Aptitude test will help you to understand your aptitude strengths. Personality test will help you understand what are your strengths and weaknesses in your personality. An astrologer will be able to tell you, looking at your kundali, what is your strength and what is your personality. So there are many other external avenues through which you can get those insights. But the best judge of what your strengths and weaknesses are is you yourself.
Yes.
And you all are
Madam,
adolescents now.
yes, and madam, could you please make them understand that there are aptitude tests and personality tests available for what and where they can find Disha?
Yes. So aptitude test is basically, a lot of you have asked questions about how to convert your passion into a career, etc. So this aptitude test is basically a comprehensive test wherein your intelligence, your aptitude, your personality, and your interest and your likes and dislikes, everything is assessed through scientific psychological tests, and then you're given insights into what could be the best career options for you. Ideal time to do aptitude test is 9th or 10th, or even around 11th or 12th. For those who are in maybe ICSE or IGCSE board schools, 8th standard is a better time because in 9th you have subjects to select. But around 8th, 9th standard is when you have to start talking about thinking about your careers, and that is when you can get an aptitude test done.
Yeah, ma'am. And about the personality test and where they can find Disha.
So the aptitude test battery involves a personality test as well. It will give you insights into your personality as well. Disha Center, which is my center, is located at Dadar in Mumbai. And as of now, since the pandemic, we are offering the aptitude test both online as well as offline. So maybe
Ma'am, your mail ID, if you can just share the mail ID, how people can reach out.
Chat?
Yeah, please, if you can put it on the chat, the students can notice it. Yeah, they can note it down. Okay. Should I go to the next question?
Yes.
All right. So does personality affect our future career?
Absolutely it does. Suppose, for example, you're somebody who loves talking to people and you're very outgoing, you have to be with people all the time, and you end up becoming a researcher. You're going to be miserable. Being in the lab for the entire day, not talking to another soul, is going to make you very, very unhappy. Right? So knowing what careers are suited for your personality is also very, very important and can impact your personality.
Great. Okay. So when I'm feeling tensed or stressed, I become silent. How do you grasp? Yeah. So is this correct, or what needs to be done? This is one child has asked.
Yeah. So like I said, all of us react to stress in a different way. That's your automatic reaction, that you become silent and you withdraw. The moment you realize this has happened, ask yourself what is stressing you out. Is there anybody around with whom you can talk to help you feel calmer? Is there anything you can do to help you feel calmer? Because as an immediate reaction, it's a natural reaction, but you need to find a way to move out of that and find solutions. Withdrawing isn't going to give you solutions.
Yes.
But you need to find solutions to the situation that is creating the stress.
Great. Okay. Next question is, how can you grasp emotions? How can you understand your own emotions?
Okay. I'm sure this will be addressed more in detail in the EQ session, but just to give you an initial way to do this is, one of the best ways to know your emotions is through your body reactions. So like I said, every emotion brings up certain things in the body. So for example, we know that whenever we are nervous or anxious, we feel butterflies in our stomach, right? Or we feel a racing heart. So if you are able to tune in to your body messages, what your body is trying to tell you, that will be one very good way to identify your emotion. Again, like I said, if you feel that today I'm just not feeling good, ask yourself, when I'm saying I don't feel good, what exactly am I feeling? Am I feeling let down because I thought we'll go for a movie today, but the plan got cancelled? Or am I feeling disappointed because I didn't get a good score on a certain test? So, identify the feeling, ask yourself questions which will help you to connect to what you're feeling.
Super. Great. What if we don't feel emotional connection to someone in the family?
I think I already answered that. If you can't connect to somebody in the family, find some other trusted adult that you can talk to.
Yes. What about people who are scared to express?
So, we talked about the non verbal ways of expressing emotions, which is through any hobby that you are deeply connected to. If you are somebody who likes to go to the gym, working out is a way of expressing your emotions. For many of you, it is drawing. For some of you, it can be a musical instrument. Some of you may be very good at graphic designing. Anything that is an outlet for you becomes a way of expressing your emotions. So, initially, use these non-verbal means, but eventually, you have to build your comfort with your emotion. You don't have to express it to somebody else, but at least to yourself, you have to express and
Yes.
acknowledge.
Yes. So how not to let emotions get best of us and avoid hurting people?
So this
I think you've
happens to
already
all of us. Yeah,
yeah.
and this happens to all of us. None of us is perfect here. So there are going to be times when our emotions hijack our reactions and we behave in ways that we are not proud of. Important thing is, whenever you realize that this has happened, calm yourself down, go back and rectify the situation or the
Yes.
relationship as best as you can, and next time try to be more aware. When this happens, think and ask yourself, how could I have dealt with this in a better manner?
Yes.
Slowly, once we keep giving these messages to our brain, it internalizes it. It will not happen overnight, but over a period of time, that change will come.
Yes, absolutely. Over a period of time, you will be able to make some better changes in yourself and not react in a way which will hurt people. So think before you react, probably, but that thought process will build eventually. It will not build
Absolutely.
overnight.
Think before
Okay.
you react and even after you react.
Yes, absolutely. So there are questions coming over here that I'm in class 10th and I can't decide one career. I keep on changing. So here I would like to say two things. One, if you can't decide, one, you can take up an aptitude test, or you can meet up a psychologist who will guide you about your career options, or you can even go to YouTube and you can type a Teen Talk series, okay, TEEN space TALK space series. Okay, and you will be finding an option of Career Ki Disha. That was the first career guidance webinar which we had taken about a month and a half back, and you will find everything over there related to career. And still, if you have problem, please write to Disha Counseling Center and they should be able to help you better. Okay. Fine. So I'm going to the next question. If someone hurts, should we let them know if someone hurts us physically? Should we let them know or you should keep silent?
Ideally, you should let them know, but it's important that whenever you're talking to somebody who has hurt you, you use iMessages. iMessages don't mean your iPhone iMessages. iMessages is you focus on how you feel rather than saying you made me angry. Focus on I felt very angry when this situation happened or when you said this. Focus on how you feel rather than accusing the other person. So focus on yourself. That makes the other person less defensive and more open to hearing you out. So
Okay.
yes, as far as possible, express.
Okay. If someone always hates my presence, even if I have not done something to somebody, like one child has put, if one person in my family always hates my presence, okay, so what could that be and what should I do about that? Is there
Oh,
anything particular?
okay.
What you would like to
So
tell?
couple of things. Number one, that is your perception. Okay, that is what you are interpreting. We don't know for sure whether that person, especially if it's a family member, really hates you or not. But assuming that it is true, assuming that you feel that this person really hates your presence, honestly, that's not your problem. That's that person's problem, that their story in life, their problem in life to deal with. You be yourself. If you feel that there are certain things you need to change about yourself, you work on that. Okay, but you can't exist just to get liked by somebody. Okay, so if somebody dislikes you for no reason, that's their problem to deal with. It's not your problem. Don't make it your problem. You focus on developing yourself.
Right. Okay, so how do you deal with depression when you have no one to express your thoughts?
If you feel you are depressed, like I said, ideally speak to some trusted adult. If not, do reach out to a counselor. Depression is a very real thing, and if you identify it early and you treat it early through counseling, therapy, and at times medication, you can find a way to overcome it. Don't keep it to yourself. Definitely reach out to somebody that you are in trouble and you need help.
Yes, and I'm putting out our number over here, our helpline number. If anybody has any depression, anything which is troubling you, any thoughts which you feel are bad for you and you cannot speak with anybody, get in touch with us. We will try to get you in touch with the right person, a psychologist, a counselor, or somebody. Please do reach out, because reaching out is the only thing which is going to help you. Internalizing your problem is never going to be helpful to you. So our helpline number is 98190 18,000. Okay, 98190 18,000. Okay, we use it specifically for our Teen Talk related issues which come back to us. So you can write or WhatsApp the message to us anytime and we will get back to you. Okay, so please do get in touch with us. Okay, so what is the difference between hobby and passion?
Hobby is something that helps you as a stress buster, helps releases stress, helps you feel good and relaxed. Passion is something that consumes you. Passion is something that needs to find expression, that is part of who you are and your identity. And many times a hobby can be a passion, but not necessary. You can have hobbies, but not passions.
Okay. Is emotional detachment possible? Can you get emotionally detached with somebody? I mean, big questions for children to ask, but yes, they are
It's
questions.
possible, and that is what the Buddha taught us, right? So, if you read a little bit about the Buddha, you will know that that is what he taught us, that be emotionally detached but be compassionate. Right?
Yes.
It is possible. It takes a lot of tapasya and it takes a lot of self work on yourself to reach there, but it is possible, and self awareness is the first step. In fact, that's what the Buddha says: become aware of what's happening inside you and what's happening around you. And the more you build your awareness, the more you're able to move towards detachment.
Great. I hate being around any of my family members. Any of my family members is what the child has written. Okay. I like to be alone. Is this fine?
Um, if it is happening in extreme measures, then it is an indicator that there is a communication breakdown between you and the family, which is not okay. So there is, you need to find a way to resolve it. Is it that you feel not appreciated, or is it that you feel constantly criticized, or is it that you feel you're not given freedom to do, you want to do everything the way you want and you don't like them to come in the way? Whatever it is something that needs to be rectified, because children right now, the age that you are in, the kind of connection you form with your family is what will stay with you all for life, right? So
Yes.
it's your responsibility and the family's responsibility to make sure you form that adult communication with each other,
Yes.
right? So take efforts to rectify that.
And there is a question over here, which is, I think, in continuation is what I'm seeing right now, or what we are talking right now, is being in grade 10. There's a lot of pressure created around scoring good projects, getting good marks. This pressure often leads to stress and outburst. So what do we do in such cases? I think this needs a lot of parenting skills. Okay, and we will definitely work on having a parenting workshop for the parents and the teachers, because teachers are the second parents. So we will have definitely a second workshop for the parents and teachers. Again, as I said, we can help only the parents and the teachers who attend the workshops or who feel that they need to change. Okay, so we cannot help people if they do not take back home anything good from us. Okay, so but we will definitely have a parenting workshop and it will be on our list of things to do. Okay, so okay, there are lots of questions about career. I think we have already answered them, so I'm not going to take them again. How do I feel there is an opposition? How do I deal if there is an opposition from society or from the parents or the family regarding our passion? How do we convince them, or what do we do about that?
Convince them by taking them to a career counselor.
Yes. What you cannot do, probably a professional person who is used to dealing with these kind of situations can make them understand better. But when you do that, you should be also able to justify yourself that why you are doing it. So, or why, what is the need for you to say what you are saying. So yes, you please approach a counselor. Okay. Is having good set of words vital for good communication skills?
Yes, it is vital and it is something that can be easily learned. So this is one skill that you can easily learn with practice. You don't, I mean, ideally if you read, nothing like it. But if you're not into reading nowadays, you have a lot of audiobooks, you have a lot of good TEDx content available online. You have a lot of good stuff that you can watch on OTT that will help you with your language and vocabulary.
Yes. Now, there's one child who has asked a question which I think is very important. I'm constantly criticized, even as the smallest of things, and then they tell me to bring good marks every time they see me. Again, I think this requires parenting skills and it is an important aspect. So, child, you can please reach out to your counselor. You can tell your parents that I would need a family counseling, because it is sometimes we teach you children how to deal with the parents, but then at times it is the parents also who need to understand how to communicate with their children, and they can be done very well by family counseling, I feel. And so please reach out to the counselor. Madam, would I be right in saying that?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So why parents are focused only on our own marks and not the skills? They are, again, this is a parenting question. Child, we cannot answer you because we are talking to you as children and we are not talking to parents. Parents do make a mistake because this is a competitive world. Parents are seeing that other children are progressing. It's not right to compare one child with the other or achievements of one child with that of the other child. But yes, parents are seeing that there is a competitive world, and unfortunately, they want their children to excel at everything, and they want them to be the best in what they think is right for the children, forgetting what would be the right thing for the child to achieve in their life. Because as Madam said initially in the first opening statement, that each child is unique with unique set of personalities, and that is what needs to be identified and worked upon. So, Madam, again, I think this is a counseling issue where probably they need to approach a counselor. Okay, should emotions always be expressed? It's already been answered. Why some people don't have any ambitions and how to find them? I think even this you have answered, Madam.
Yeah.
Yes, and there is a question which is very, very important. I feel that there is a stigma regarding approaching a psychologist. So it is difficult for us to convince parents about it.
That's true. That is very much true. But fortunately, I would say your generation, you are the mental health soldiers or warriors of our country, because y'all are so much more aware, y'all are so much more open and willing to say, I need help, and willing to reach out. So you are the ones that slowly have to talk to your parents and convince them. And of course, now also because access is readily available, you have counselors in school, in colleges, in whichever organizations that y'all are affiliated with, it can be helpful. So yes, there is a stigma, but it is changing. So I would say that slowly parents are also coming around and realizing that going to a psychologist doesn't mean something is really wrong with us or our child, or that there is a mental illness, but sometimes even everyday problems need intervention from a third person who can be objective and help resolve the issue.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so how do I gain trust back of a person who considered me as a best friend in the past, but you have done some mistake and not willing to talk back to you? So is there some way?
Yes, so a couple of things. One is you are genuinely accepting that it is your fault. Make sure you've communicated the same to your friend, that you are genuinely sorry and you apologize, and you will work hard not to make the same mistake again. Having said that, you need to give your friend time. See, trust takes years and years to build, but it can be shattered in one moment. Right? So now the deed is already done. So you need to give time to your friend to process the pain, the hurt, the betrayal. And eventually, if they feel that okay, they are willing to forgive you and put it behind you, then the ball is in their court.
Yes.
Hopefully, if you have been good friends, your friend will come back. But if not, then it's a learning experience. You learned from that mistake.
Great.
Right?
How can parents be always right? They don't always understand our perspective.
Parents are not always right. Definitely not always right, and it's important to know this. But like I said, one thing we don't question is their intentions. We know that even if they're
Yes.
nagging us, criticizing us, scolding us, we don't have to like any of it. We don't have to agree with it. But one thing we can blindly trust is their intention is good. Okay, so just have a little patience, try to communicate with them and explain your point of view. Again, they will not agree to everything, but right now what you ask them is at least hear me out, at least
Yes.
listen to what I have to say, and we can talk about it. Okay, so no, definitely they are not always right.
How to overcome stage fear? I think that's the final question, madam, we can take. How to overcome stage fear?
So stage fear has a lot of elements. It could be that you become very conscious when you have to speak in front of so many people. It could be that you are overall a person who's timid and doesn't like to be center of attention. You may be an introvert. It could be that you are thinking about what if I forget my lines and everybody laughs at me. So the best way to overcome stage fear is to just, before you enter on the stage, just take a deep breath and tell yourself, I have prepared, I have done whatever I could to be on the stage. Now I am just going to do my best. And every moment, focus on doing your best, knowing. And before you do that, visualize what's the worst that will happen. I
Exactly.
go on the stage, what's the worst that will happen? I'll forget everything and everybody will laugh at me. Not a happy situation. But what are the chances that I'll not remember anything? Very less, right? And even if it does happen, I'll be embarrassed, but can I deal with it? Yes, I can deal with it. What's the best thing that can happen? Best thing is I will go on the stage and do a superb job and I get a standing ovation. So there is a worst case possibility, there is a best case possibility. Reality may be somewhere in between. Correct? I can deal with it. Okay? Don't give yourself false hopes, but don't keep making yourself think about the worst case scenario. Stage fear comes because you assume the worst. The worst can happen. Of course, there is a possibility, but very small possibility. Anything that happens on the stage is going to be better than your fear. Correct? So practice this before you go on the stage and you will find that the anxiety goes down a little bit.
Absolutely. So basically, it's all there in your personality. See, the personality spectrum, what we are born with, we cannot help it, but we can definitely work on it. Okay, so if I'm a shy person and I want to, you want to go on the stage, okay, you will have to work on it. Okay, if you are overconfident and you go on stage, you may also make a mistake. So that overconfidence is also going to do harm to you in some way or the other. So in the same way, if you are shy, the only thing is learn to deal with the fallouts that may come, one fallout or the other. One problem, if you face going on the stage, okay, that should not hamper your spirits in trying out again. Okay, so it's like if at first you don't succeed, keep trying again and again till you succeed, because that's the only mantra which you can adapt to. The only thing is there is some place where you need to start. Okay, unless you don't start, you will never be able to reach out to the place where you really want to be. You may not succeed at first, but you will definitely succeed if you make it a point to understand that I want to succeed and I will succeed by trying again and again. Okay, so madam, there is only last question which has come. Is MBTI personality test accurate?
It is. It is. It is a
Okay.
very old and very established and reliable, simple personality test, but it will give you good insights into yourself.
Great. So with this, I think it is time to say goodbye to all of you. Thank you so much for attending this session. Thank you, Samindara madam, for this wonderfully, exceptionally good session. And I think the children must have taken home a lot. The only thing is you can be helped by this session only if you put it into practice and you try to implement in your day-to-day life. Okay, you cannot be helped unless you try to really put it into practice in your day-to-day life. So with this, before I thank our speaker, I'm just going to share a screen for our next workshop which is there. So this is our next workshop which is in the pipeline. Okay, the next workshop is Bridge the Gap, that is parent-teen communication, where you will be, it's a workshop for the parents, teachers and students, where you understand barriers to connection and healthy communication, strategies to connect, engage and understand teenagers, parenting styles, expectation management and healthy boundary settings. So this will be taken by a practicing psychologist, Ms. Nusrat Khan. Okay, and the date for this workshop, or rather I would say this session, is on 5th of September 2021 at 11 a.m. This Google form, we will be sending out this, if you see, this PDF has got a Google form icon, okay? And I'm moving my screen over here, the cursor. So if you click on this Google form icon, it will take you to the Google form, fill up the Google form. And if you're interested, we will be sending the Zoom link to you by mail. So please see to it that you are entering the correct mail ID, okay? Otherwise it will be difficult for us to share the things with you. Okay, so with this, I need to thank Madam for giving her time from her busy schedule and connecting with us. Madam, from Mission Pink Health, IIM Maharashtra State, the Teen Talk series, we present this certificate of gratitude to you for giving your expert guidance and training to adolescent students through personality development workshop organized by Mission Pink Health, IIM Maharashtra State on 15th August 2021 under Teen Talk series. And Madam, we are really grateful to you and we look forward to having more and more sessions with you, from you. And I hope we get to hear to you once again. So thank you so much, Madam. And till we meet next, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.